Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
What if everything you thought you knew about a high-profile scandal was about to be questioned? Today marks one of those moments. In a dramatic turn of events, the Department of Justice has officially released the first batch of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein's case. This isn't just another legal update. It's a moment that could reshape public understanding of one of the most talked-about controversies of our time. I'm here to break down everything that has been made public so far. When the files dropped, our team was caught off guard by the sudden timing and the sheer volume of information. We spent hours combing through every page to figure out what these documents reveal, what might still be hidden, and what the future could hold. Today, I'll walk you through the official statements that accompanied the release, give you an overview of the documents themselves, and help you understand why these files could be critical in holding powerful figures accountable. From flight logs and contact books to seized evidence and redacted lists, we're going to look at every piece of the puzzle, even the parts that are difficult to decipher. We start with a look at the official press release that explains why these files matter and what they're expected to do for public transparency. This moment is not just about history. It's about a promise to the public that no stone will be left unturned and that accountability will be pursued no matter who is involved. Part 1. The official statement, what the DOJ and FBI have to say. When the Department of Justice, DOJ, issued their statement, it came with an air of urgency and determination. In the document, Attorney General Pamela Bondi announced that the FBI had declassified and publicly released files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. These files are tied to allegations of sexual exploitation involving over 250 underage girls at various locations, including Epstein's properties in New York and Florida. Attorney General Bondi stated, "The first phase of files released today sheds light on Epstein's extensive network and begins to provide the public with long overdue accountability." This declaration wasn't made in isolation. It followed months of litigation, FOIA requests, and a high-profile trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's notorious associate, who was convicted on federal sex crime charges and sentenced to 20 years in prison. The statement also referenced remarks from FBI Director Kash Patel. He emphasized that under his leadership, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no overlooked evidence. There will be no stone left unturned, Patel promised, underscoring the commitment to uncover any gaps and to transparently share the findings with the American people. His words were clear. If there's any evidence that has been hidden or mishandled, the Bureau will find it and deliver it for public review. But the release of these documents is not without its complications. Initially, the DOJ received about 200 pages of material. Later, it was revealed that thousands of pages related to the investigation of Epstein had not been immediately disclosed. Attorney General Bondi has now requested that the FBI deliver the remaining documents by a specified deadline, and she has tasked Director Patel with explaining why all the documents were not turned over in the first place. This back and forth between the DOJ and the FBI sets the stage for what many believe could be a critical moment in the ongoing search for justice. It's a reminder that even institutions with the weight of federal power are under scrutiny when transparency is at stake. The commitment from the top echelons of law enforcement is clear. Accountability is not optional, and the American people deserve the truth. Part 2. Unpacking the documents, flight logs, contact books, and redacted lists. Now let's talk details. The files released contain a variety of documents, each offering a different perspective on Epstein's operations. One of the key components is the flight log, often referred to as evidence of the so-called Lolita Express. Spanning 118 pages and covering a period from April 1991 to January 2006, these logs provide a glimpse into how much time Epstein and his associates spent on his private jet. The flight log is an intricate record, yet it's not as straightforward as it might seem. Some entries are hard to read due to faded handwriting and the age of the photocopies. At times, the names appear only as initials or vague designations such as one male or two females. Despite these challenges, there are a few standout entries that demand attention. For example, one entry from June 1991 mentions Herb show plane to Reba McEntire plus husband, hinting at how personal and high-profile some of these trips were. Another particularly striking entry in the log is from January of the following year, where Epstein and Maxwell are noted as having flown into Burbank to attend an event as grand as the Academy Awards. Over the years, the list of passengers on these flights has included several well-known names, ranging from former President Bill Clinton, who appears multiple times in the early 2000s accompanied by Secret Service agents, to Prince Andrew and even President Donald Trump. Although some entries involve redactions or initials that obscure full details, the flight log clearly reveals that Epstein's world was intertwined with influential figures. Beyond the flight logs, another document that has captured public interest is the contact book. This 95-page document is filled with names, most of them heavily redacted. While we see a long list of names that might suggest a network of influential individuals, it's important to note that being listed in Epstein's contact book does not imply direct involvement in any criminal activity. Epstein was known for his far-reaching connections, and the presence of the name on this list is more a testament to his extensive network rather than evidence of wrongdoing. One particularly chilling document is a list simply titled Masseuses. This list includes 254 entries, each redacted to protect the identities of potential victims. The document is a stark reminder of the scale of the alleged abuse, hinting at the possibility that many women and young girls could have been exploited under the guise of massage services. The raw number alone is enough to provoke shock and raise urgent questions about how these alleged actions were allowed to continue unchecked. Lastly, the release includes what appears to be an important email addresses file. Although it might seem less dramatic than the other documents, it hints at further layers of complexity. The document contains an array of entries, with names, locations, and sometimes initials that might denote various properties or offices. The significance of this file remains open to interpretation, but it serves as another piece of the mosaic in understanding the breadth of Epstein's operations. Each of these documents, whether it's the detailed flight logs, the extensively redacted contact book, or the disturbing list of masseuses, contributes to a broader picture. They provide not only factual data, but also a narrative of connections, influences, and the possible exploitation of power. In many ways, these files are like pieces of a vast puzzle that, when assembled, might offer a clearer view of what happened and who might be responsible. Part 3. High-profile names and notable entries. One of the most talked about aspects of the released documents is the appearance of several high-profile names. From political figures to celebrities, the flight logs and contact books list names that spark controversy and invite speculation. However, it's crucial to remember that a name in these documents does not automatically imply guilt or complicity. Let's start with a flight log again. Notably, the log records multiple trips with names like President Donald Trump, whose early 1990s entries are particularly intriguing. There's an entry from May 1994 mentioning that Epstein flew with Trump's then wife and daughter, and even a reference to Eric Trump in 1995. Similarly, Prince Andrew's name appears in a 1999 entry. His association with Epstein has been a topic of heated debate, especially considering the ongoing controversies around his connections to the financier. Former President Bill Clinton also appears on several occasions in the early 2000s. His trips are well documented, complete with the presence of multiple Secret Service agents, which underlines the official and highly scrutinized nature of his travels. This raises questions about how these connections were managed and whether there was any oversight regarding the interactions that took place during those flights. Another striking inclusion in Epstein's records is the appearance of media and entertainment figures. The contact book lists names like Alec Baldwin, Michael Jackson, and Chris Tucker. It even includes names of influential business people, such as Les Wexner, the former owner of Victoria's Secret, whose connection with Epstein has been the subject of public scrutiny in recent years. Even legendary figures like Dr. Henry Kissinger and Mick Jagger are mentioned, further emphasizing the wide network Epstein maintained. Then there are more obscure entries that, while not as immediately recognizable, add to the overall picture. The documents reference various properties, luxurious hotels and clubs like the Ritz-Carlton, the Aspen Club, the Beverly Wilshire, and even the Pierre. These entries hint at the lavish lifestyle that surrounded Epstein and his circle, and they serve as a reminder that his operations were not confined to a single location or a single type of activity. It's also important to address the implications of these high-profile names appearing in the documents. While public opinion may jump to conclusions based solely on these entries, it is crucial to understand that these appearances could be the result of social connections, business relationships, or mere coincidences in travel arrangements. The records are a snapshot of a network that spanned many sectors of society, politics, entertainment, finance, and more. Yet, the presence of a name alone should not be misconstrued as evidence of participation in Epstein's criminal activities. At the same time, some entries raise eyebrows due to their context. For instance, magician David Copperfield is mentioned as having performed for Epstein's guests, and there are allegations related to his interactions with some of Epstein's alleged victims. Meanwhile, French model scout Jean-Luc L. Brunel is noted for having a controversial role, with messages suggesting involvement in a network that could be connected to Epstein's alleged activities. These details add layers of complexity and serve as a call for further investigation into the full extent of these individuals' connections with Epstein. It is this mix of undeniable high-profile names and the ambiguity surrounding the nature of their interactions with Epstein that fuels both controversy and the public's insatiable curiosity. As more documents come to light, there's a growing demand for clarity, one that only a thorough and impartial investigation can provide. Part 4. Evidence collected and legal implications. As the investigation continues, one document in particular has drawn significant attention, a file simply titled Evidence Collected. According to various media reports, including details referenced by the New York Times, this file is a list of items seized by federal agents during searches of Epstein's properties in New York and the U.S. Virgin Islands after his 2019 arrest. The list is both extensive and disturbing. It includes physical items such as CDs labeled Girl Pics, a book number for 4 massage tables, red sealed bags containing thousands of dollars in cash, and even an Austrian passport featuring Epstein's photograph. Beyond these, there are electronic devices like computers, iPads, recorders, hard drives, and binders containing numerous disks. These items represent tangible evidence that might be used in any future legal proceedings and could offer insights into the full scale of Epstein's operations. In addition to physical evidence, the list mentions various personal items that paint a picture of the environments where these alleged crimes took place. For example, there are descriptions of boxes containing sculptures, busts of female torsos, costumes, wigs, and even explicit photographs, some of which are annotated with details that suggest they could be linked to Epstein's sexual exploitation schemes. Each entry, while presented as a mere line item, hints at a broader narrative of abuse and exploitation that has shocked the nation. The legal implications of this evidence are significant. Prosecutors could potentially use these items to build a case that ties together the various elements of Epstein's alleged operations, from the recruitment of underage girls to the use of luxury properties as venues for illegal activities. There's also the possibility that these items might help establish connections between Epstein and the high-profile figures whose names appear as records. However, there's an ongoing challenge. Many of the documents are heavily redacted, and some evidence appears to be missing or incomplete. For instance, during the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, it was revealed that when federal agents raided Epstein's townhouse in New York, crucial evidence went missing. CDs, hard drives, money, jewelry, and even passports were either mishandled or not fully documented at the time of the seizure. This has raised serious questions about the thoroughness and integrity of the evidence collection process. Furthermore, the fact that additional pages were not initially provided, only for the DOJ to later be informed that thousands of pages exist, adds another layer of complexity. Attorney General Bondi has now issued an ultimatum for the FBI to deliver these missing documents, and she has instructed Director Patel to provide an explanation for delay. The promise of full transparency, as stated by both the DOJ and the FBI, is under intense scrutiny. Many are asking, why wasn't everything turned over immediately? Was there an intentional effort to hide evidence? And if so, what does that mean for the ongoing legal processes? These questions are not only legal in nature, but also touch upon the trust that the American public places in its institutions. When high-profile cases involve powerful individuals, any lapse in evidence handling or transparency can have far-reaching consequences. The implications extend beyond just one case. They are a reminder of the broader issues of accountability within the justice system. As the saga unfolds, the evidence collected will likely serve as a key piece in understanding the full scope of what happened, and in holding accountable anyone who might have played a role in covering up or enabling Epstein's crimes. It is a story that is far from over, and as more evidence comes to light, we can expect new revelations that might challenge our understanding of the case even further. Part 5. What's next and why it matters? After hours of reviewing these files, one thing is clear. We are just beginning to understand the enormity of this case. The documents released today are, in many ways, a glimpse into a much larger and deeply troubling network of exploitation. They compel us to ask tough questions about accountability, transparency, and the influence of power in our society. In the coming weeks and months, we expect to see further disclosures and possibly more detailed investigations into why so many documents were withheld initially. FBI Director Patel's upcoming report will be critical in shedding light on whether there was miscommunication, deliberate action, or simply procedural delays in handing over all the evidence. For those of us watching this unfold, it's important to remember that the public release of these files is a step toward transparency, even if it isn't the final word. There are still many unanswered questions, and each new piece of information could either reinforce what we already suspect or reveal new, unexpected details about Epstein's network. This moment is significant not only because of what is being revealed, but because it underscores a commitment by law enforcement to address potential misconduct within its ranks. When the FBI faces criticism for possible lapses in evidence collection, it is essential for the institution to correct course and restore public trust. That commitment to integrity is what ultimately supports the idea of justice being served, regardless of the power or influence of those involved. What does all this mean for the victims and for society as a whole? At its core, the release of these files is about giving a voice to those who have been hurt. It's about making sure that, regardless of one's position or wealth, every individual's suffering is acknowledged, and that every misdeed is scrutinized under the light of truth. While some might see these documents as mere political fodder or sensational headlines, the human cost behind them is immeasurable. This is a story about abuse, exploitation, and the relentless pursuit of justice for those who were too young to understand what was happening. As you watch and listen to this series of updates, I encourage you to keep an open mind. The narrative is still being written, and while we might feel frustrated by the redactions and delays, there is always hope that continued public pressure will lead to a more complete unveiling of the truth. The impact of this case reaches far beyond the individuals involved. It challenges our legal system, our media, and even our collective sense of justice. In the end, no matter what comes out next, whether it's more explosive evidence or clarifications about previous records, the importance of holding power to account remains the same. This is a pivotal moment for the DOJ, the FBI, and for all of us who demand that justice is served transparently and fairly. We're here to watch every development, and we're committed to keeping you informed every step of the way. Before we close, I want to thank you for tuning in today. It means a lot that you trust us to break down this complex and often painful subject matter. We will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as soon as new details emerge. Remember, the pursuit of truth is ongoing, and every new piece of evidence can change the entire narrative. Until next time, this is Gossip Radar, where we keep you in a loop on the glitz, the glamour, and the scandals of the stars.